Alright, we had ourselves another couple of great semi-finals. It feels like every tournament lately has been delivering exciting Counter-Strike. The build-up to the Budapest Major couldn't be more exciting, but let's stay locked in on Chengdu for right now. We have Vitality taking on MOUZ in the first semi-finals, where on Nuke it looked like MOUZ were going to cruise to a first map victory up 12-4 before Vitality went all the way on the comeback train. 12 straight rounds before MOUZ could get one on the board in overtime to steal a map victory 16-13. Zyro wasn't just on demon timing, he looked like he couldn't miss a shot if he fucking tried. Interestingly though, MOUZ bounced back on train to keep the series competitive, with Zyro going missing after a first map masterclass, only for things to culminate on Inferno, where in the group stage MOUZ took out Vitality in triple overtime, but this time it was Vitality who outplayed MOUZ down the stretch to take away their victory 13-10 and nab yet another grand final spot. And then on the other side of the bracket, we had Falcons taking on Furia, where on Inferno, Yuurih, with one eye severely inhibited from a fucking infection, went literally God mode on the opening CT half to utterly shut Falcons out and cruise to a 13-5 first map victory. On Mirage, things were closer. Kioske especially was shining for the Falcons defense, but on the second half, it was Molodoi who kicked the door open for Furia, taking space and taking swings with the op like nobody's business, and blowing the game wide open, only for things to come down to a pivotal last round, where Falcons once again had a 4v2 man advantage, only to lose the round in the clutch, and consequently the series. The grand finals are set, Furia versus Vitality, a Pro League rematch. I am really sleepy, but let's go ahead and get through it. If you guys enjoy this kind of content, make sure to leave a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe to Drive already, have me take kisses by the end of the year. Also follow me on Twitch.tv/LionHeartZ2. Let's fucking go! Now, the most interesting part about both of these series is that upon reflection, I can't really point to a whole lot of significant, obvious structural mistakes. When you watch back these games, a lot of the times these rounds are being swung upon who wins 1v1s. It's coming down to individual excellence to define who's breaking open space and taking these round wins. Like on Nuke specifically for this Vitality MOUZ series, I can only think of maybe 1 or 2 rounds where I look at what MOUZ were doing and I'm like, yeah, that's a mistake. Like that, you just fucked up. Like really the 2 standout rounds in that regard are one in the first half, one in the second, where MOUZ lost to an underbought Vitality. But at the same time, it has to be pointed out that Vitality are just one of the best teams in the world at winning low econ situations. It's like one of their defining features. Like in the first half, you're up 4-0 and Vitality are on just kind of a get me over buy with a single AK and a bunch of pistols. You get an opening pick outside off the back of, I think, Torji. I'm kind of going off the dome here, so follow me. And then Vitality rotate inside and then execute a real simple A push. But the problem is, they just hit all the shots. Flamesy and Zyro go out hut together. Flamesy looks towards Mustang, Zyro keeps his eyes elsewhere, and they both take a pick with the Deagle and the Tech 9. And then where the mistake comes in is that Flamesy gets uber aggressive as he is wont to do towards Mini. He catches Torji, surprise, and then Jimmy has all of 45 years to shoot Flamesy, biffs like the first 5 shots, and then gets dropped to his Tech 9. If Jimmy gets that pick, suddenly it's a 2v2 with the bomb down. You can make that post-mine situation work. Instead, when Jimmy goes down, it's an automatic loss. So that's obviously a mistake by Jimmy at the end, but then MOUZ bounce back and win the next round very dominantly, and that's what they did throughout this entire first half on the CT side. They never let Vitality win consecutive T-side rounds, and considering how good of a T-side Vitality are, that's really remarkable. And so it brings up an interesting data point about MOUZ. Obviously, I have whinged and will continue to whinge about how awful their T-sides are, and they are. More on that in just a few minutes. But the data also backs up MOUZ as probably the best CT side team in the world. And it just makes sense for where they are at. For the last 6 months, MOUZ have an over 60% CT win rate. That is the best in the world by a good margin. And when you consider they are a team of 5 individuals who are all incredibly skilled, they don't have the strictest system in terms of calling, it means that unlike pretty much every other team in the world, they don't have a weak link like a bad support player or a bad IGL. No, everybody can frag at any given time, and that makes them hard to push into space. Now, if only those T-sides didn't absolutely fucking suck, then maybe MOUZ would win something. I really think this CT side dominance is exactly why they continue to make so many playoffs, as they can leverage that in the CT side meta to win against worse teams without much of an effort on their T-sides. Anyways, to put a pin in it for the first half, MOUZ did a fantastic job. They kept Vitality in check, and moving into the second half, things get interesting right away, as in the pistol round, Torji nearly steals away what would have been the knockout blow. If he wins this clutch in hut, if he hits that last shot into Apex, it's game over. We're not even here talking about this miraculous comeback. But Vitality stay in it, and with a pistol round behind him, we can start to generate some momentum, you know? Vitality are not prone to giving up second round force buy losses. Except for this one. It's going to be a slow outside play from MOUZ. Apex is going to take a pick on Xertion before getting traded out by Spinks. Then it's the slow downstairs crawl into the B side, execute. And frankly, Vitality are rotated into this perfectly. You have Spinks above the silo on the railing, Rops down in dark with an M4. They're in a perfect crossfire to really make this a disturbance, but they both only get one pick each before getting traded out, giving MOUZ access to the bomb site. And then Jimmy, who'd been lurking in Hut the entire round, finally gets the payoff for his patience when he catches Mezzy rotating into the vents, and Zywoo's unable to navigate that 1v2. And with that momentum, MOUZ go on a 3-run streak straight to match point 12-4. They were really efficient here in not allowing low bot Vitality to have any room in these next couple of rounds. And while it's, you know, T-side nuke, a 12-4 lead should mean that MOUZ are going to get one thing right and just finish off this map. However, they wouldn't. Now, there was definitely a consideration in my mind to go over all 12 rounds here and just in meticulous detail, but at the end of the day, I really want to stress that I don't think MOUZ did anything wrong structurally. They couldn't win duels. A lot of times they were just walking into multi-kills. It would be excellence out of Vitality that would define these rounds more than MOUZ's mistakes. The big thing that stands out is that MOUZ are just not very moldable in the mid-round. They're committing to their plan out of spawn more often than not, and if that doesn't work, if they get stopped by some kind of pick or pressure from Vitality, the round just grinds to a halt, and MOUZ don't seem to have a way out of that. The big thing to emphasize is Zywoo went demon mode in this CT half. He went from being just kind of like a so-so scoreline, 9-11 through the T side, to ending his CT side in overtime with 21 kills and 5 deaths. Multiple high-impact 3 and 4K defenses, whether it's on the A side, in ramp, taking space outside. Zywoo couldn't miss with the op. That's what this boils down to. And frankly, this boils down to the weakness of Brolin as a caller. Cyclone had to burn all 3 of his timeouts in quick succession in the middle of this second half, and every time he did, whatever they tried to call out the back of that timeout didn't work. Whether it was faster paced pushes, whether it was slowing down things as much as possible, they couldn't find a single way to take advantage of whatever situation they're finding themselves in. The first picks weren't going their way, they couldn't work things into bomb plants very often. It was like from first principle, this MOUZ T side couldn't succeed. Let me just rattle off some player stats for you from the T side for MOUZ. Xertion, 4 for 15, a .29 rating, 1 for 3 on openers. Brolin, 0 for 2 on openers, 4 for 15 as well. Jimmy, 0 for 3 on openers, 5 for 12. Dorji was getting quite a lot of picks. He ended the T-side affair with 15 kills to 12 deaths. There was just no capitalizing on any advantage he managed to find. It's just an ugly T-side. It's a lot like Aurora. They're just a diabolical watch on one half of the game, and that makes me not like MOUZ as a team, despite how proven their success is. Moving into Train is definitely an interesting map to follow up Nuke with, because both of these first 2 maps are so CT side heavy that again we find ourselves in a situation where oftentimes it's not that MOUZ made a whole lot of mistakes on their T side to open up, is that Train leaves so little opportunity for T sides to win in the first place that if you're not winning your contact duels, you're not winning rounds. So while MOUZ had a great opening flurry where they won the pistol round, they lost to that titular Vitality force buy, but they followed up with a great win on the 3rd round thereafter that allowed them to keep the early game momentum and win the first 4 or 5 rounds. As soon as Vitality got back into the gun rounds and we got to the full buy situations, that's where Train reared its ugly head and Vitality cruised, winning the next 7 straight. It's just so difficult to take space into Train in the current meta. The map is so big that it's hard to posture map control and draw CT side attention away, so if you show aggression towards Ivy, odds are the CTB players can play a little more lax knowing that immediate B rush isn't always on the cards. Likewise, if there's no attention towards the A side at the beginning of the round, the B players can reinforce knowing that a B setup might be coming down. Like contrasted against a map like Mirage, for example, there's so much intel play that T's can engage in to draw CT side rotates. Train just lacks that kind of variety. That being said, Vitality have been one of the more successful teams in the world at making aggression on Train work in their favor. They're able to blow up into the A site and take the B site relatively well against most competition. The problem was for them on an individual level is that Zywoo went really quiet. He went 5 for 9 in the second half, and that lack of op punch really limited Vitality's options in terms of taking that map space. Now, all that being said, the end of this game was quite close, so we are going to zoom in and examine this last couple of rounds here and see how MOUZ got this map victory to push us to Inferno. As you can see, after that 8-4 start for Vitality, MOUZ have completed the comeback. It's a 10-9 scoreline. Vitality are broke. They got 1 rifle, a couple Tech 9, some armor, and they're going to send it out B like a motherfucker. And FlameZ is going to do FlameZ things and immediately smite Spinks with the Tech 9. Combined with Zyro for the pick on Jimmy up on the upper railing, Apex holding the flank with the AK is going to take out Zershin, Mezzi already hauled ass up towards Z is going to take out Brolin in the back, and then Torji's going to wonder what the fuck just happened as Flamesy runs him down with a Tech 9. And now it's 10-10, MOUZ can be a bit of a fragile team. Is this going to be Vitality pulling away to take this as a 2-0 series victory? Now, this round is going to be slow as fuck. No one's really going to want to push or pull or give up an early advantage. We're going to wind down the clock until we get around to 30 seconds when Robs is going to walk his ass back to the top of upper B, jump up on the little desk there, and just lance Torji through the window down to Long Dog. A insane spam to hit, and it's going to bait Vitality into going into the Pop Dog split into A. However, MOUZ are set up here. They have players at every different crossfire you could ask for, and all three of Zershin, Brolin, and Jimmy just take a pick each and cut Vitality at the knees. This is a perfect example of what I mean about that push-pull dynamic on Train. Because there was no real aggression shown at B, MOUZ had no reason to rotate anybody off the A site. They could stay 4 strong there and just wait and react to Vitality, and they reacted. Now it's 11-10, Vitality rebuy into the next round. Once again, it's going to be very slow. MOUZ are going to take a little bit more of an aggressive initiative and take full A main control from the T side, pushing Torji and Brolin all the way up in that bitch. Vitality are going to want to retake T main control, so they're going to push one in. Torji's going to get the first pick. Then Mezzi's going to jump over the second op shot with a flashbang backup, and he's going to take care of Torji on the trade. Brolin escapes, Zyro behind Mezzi as the team main smoke clears, takes a pick towards Ivy, finding yet another entry, and then Robs has already lurked out Long Dog, walks all the way up to Bomb Train and shoots Zershin in the back of the head, leaving the 2 remaining MOUZ players in a situation where they just have to save into that 2v4. Tied up, 11-11. At this point, things are getting really hairy. If MOUZ lose this round, it might be game over because of their economy. And here, once again, the push-pull dynamic actually buries Vitality's efforts on this map. Because there was no real outside presence towards A, MOUZ get really aggressive. They take a lot of advantage space into Long Dog. They clear up with Zershin quite close. They clear into team main. Once they ascertain there's really no lean towards A from Vitality, they rotate Torji back over to B to reinforce with Spinks. Vitality walk right into the stack, allowing Zershin to pick through Long Dog right after, and Spinks, Torji, Zershin, take your pick. They all get their shots off, they all get their kills, and that shuts down Vitality before they can even touch the bottom of the bomb site. With that, Vitality are bottomed out on Econ. They try to go for one more B hit on the final round of regulation. Despite Flamesy's best efforts, he would have needed an ace clutch to force us to overtime. With no backup from his teammates, MOUZ take a surprising second map win and force us to Inferno, which yet again might I remind you, MOUZ just beat Vitality in triple overtime in insane fashion. Now, the reality is, this was a much more straightforward game. Vitality take this win 13-10. It was a close 6-6 first half where the MOUZ CT side did a good job of limiting Vitality's damage, but once again, this boils down to MOUZ's T side just not being able to adapt too much in real time. They lost the pistol round and the early game conversions against Vitality. They managed to go on a nice string of gun rounds in the middle where they won 4 straight. But as soon as Vitality got a full buy gun round on the board off the back of Robs just locking down the A site on a late rotate from MOUZ, they never looked back. They tried to hit their way into B twice, and that failed. Both times it came down to clutch scenarios that MOUZ couldn't convert. And the final round of the game, they tried once again to push into A, but were ultimately unsuccessful. When I look at what MOUZ did here, Zershin was great. Really, the big letdown here is Spinks, and Spinks has been one of their most consistent players for what feels like the entire year. Spinks oftentimes plays better than expected against Vitality, but he was overall just ho-hum in this series. If he plays a little bit better, maybe this goes to overtime and things get interesting, but Vitality looked very confident. They didn't look bothered by anything that MOUZ were showing them on Inferno, much compared to what they saw in the group stage. It was just overall everything better. Vitality won in terms of opening kills, they tied in clutches, they had more op impact out of Zyro, they won more post plants. Compared to that group stage game, it felt like Vitality were just firmly in control. Moving on to our other semifinal of the day, we had Furia taking on the Falcons. This is where we step out of the realm of detailed Counter-Strike breakdowns and we start talking about vibes. Because the vibes for Furia are fucking incredible. First off, you absolutely stomped the Falcons out 13-5 on Inferno, despite Molodoy having a wretched first map. Like, I mean, truly, absolutely being fucking missing. Molodoy goes 8-12 with a 0.69 rating, but it doesn't matter, because literally every other member of Furia steps up, most especially Yuurih. And Yuurih is a piece that I personally don't give enough credit when it comes to talking about this team, but if Yuurih is your 4th best player, you are in such an insane position. He's much like the Brazilian Mezzi in that regard, where he could be a 3rd best or even 2nd option on any other team he wants to, but him being your 4th guy gives you a rock in the background, and the way he's adapted to the CT side anchor duties has been fantastic to watch. And even before that, you have to add on the obvious caveat that he played through today's games with an eye infection. He tweeted out after the match that he had just gotten back from the hospital. He was sick all day with a bacterial infection in his left eye, plus he was experiencing chills and vomiting. But he says, hey, I'll be better tomorrow, ready for that grand finals. And whatever, dude, fucking MJ flu game head-ass performance on Inferno, where he drops 21 kills, 11 deaths, a 2.35 rating, dicks down Falcons T-side with one missing fucking eye, dude. Like, that's actually incredible. And listen, I'm sure he could see out of his left eye, but you're uncomfortable the entire match. His eye was probably itching up like a fucking storm, and he was having chills and vomiting. He was not in a good headspace while he was in the game, but he just went unconscious, entered the zone, and tore fucking Falcons asunder. And the hard part for Falcons is that you didn't make any big mistakes. I was talking about this with Dust while I was working on getting the footage, and he agrees because he was watching over the game as well, that Falcons didn't make a big mistake. They didn't like run bad sets or make bad rotates or bad calls. They were losing their engagements. They were allowing Furia to get away with multi-kills in situations where the trade should be coming out. They were just losing gunfights. Maybe the most troubling trend coming out of this first map for Falcons was that MOUZ was really slow starting. He ends the game going 12-11, but his first half on the T side was really wretched, 3 for 9 with a 0.47 rating. Now granted, opping on T side Inferno is next to impossible, so oftentimes oppers are stuck on rifles, but MOUZ's a great rifler. Like, he's not a slouch on the rifle whatsoever. He simply wasn't getting any success, and this was my big concern coming into this game. I wanted to see MOUZ and Molodoi at peak powers fighting each other after MOUZ had such an insane run in the group stage. But he comes into this semifinals cold, and that definitely played a huge part in Falcons not only losing here, but losing this series. MOUZ was just average, especially when we get into Mirage, but he was straight up bad on Inferno, and that cost Falcons a lot because they're already a firepower first, tactic second kind of team. Like, not to boil it down to simplicity here, but nobody on Falcons with Nico, Kioske, and MOUZ could outfrag either Fallen or Yuurih. That's a problem. Now, Mirage was certainly closer, and the Falcons T-side here I thought looked a lot better. Nico had a lot of good time taking space, especially when he was working away from the pack, allowing Kioske to kind of take up his aggression roles while he played around the margins. And Kioske fries for not only this first half, but for the entire game. And I do really want to emphasize the fact that he does look like Nico a lot of the time. His aiming style is similar, the spots he's playing are similar, he plays a lot like him, which makes a lot of sense why Kioske is going to work so well alongside MOUZ. Really, this was a back and forth first half. But let's be honest, the real story of this game, of this second half, is Molodoi and Kioske going blow for blow and carrying their respective teams. Molodoi is going to start the second half hot out the gate. He's going to be really impactful in the pistol round and the 4-spike conversion thereafter. But there's going to be a stretch in the middle of this game where Furia are going to look dominant. They're going to win 7 of the first 8 rounds in this second half. And Molodoi is going to get the op in his hands and start just taking space. He doesn't care where he's going, he's taking space. He's going to entry, he's going to take B solo, he's going to hold mid, he's going to do whatever he wants with the op, and he's going to walk away with at least 2 kills for what feels like 4 rounds straight. And it was just one of those situations where I stressed that if you didn't watch the game live, go back and watch the VOD, because the vibe from the casters, the arena, even the vibe from the players was just awesome, even though it was fucking way too early in the morning and I just wanted to go back to bed. It felt like Molodoi was just rising to the moment. As the crowd would cheer, he would only get bolder and hit better shots. Really, it felt like this game was just going to be over before you could blink. At this point, Furia have a 12-8 lead. Falcons look buried. There's no momentum. There's no money. There's no help from MOUZ, no help from Nico. It's Kioske, the only one kind of vainly trying to stop what's going on. But we finally get a breakthrough in this first series point defense here. Kioske gets a great pick on Cowok before getting traded out. Nico in the window room takes care of Zerotwocs and Fallen for a clutch double kill. Rotating over, he spots Molodoi and B apps. Tessas gets the cleanup there, finally putting an end to Molodoi's terror. Yukindar out of nowhere, stranded in a 1v3, goes down in short order. Now it's 9-12. The money's starting to get a little scary for Furia, but they buy up anyway. It's 3 AKs, a Tech 9, and a Deagle, and they're going to wait it out and go into a late A hit. MOUZ and Kixan open it up with 2 great picks, cutting it down to a 3v5, but Zerotwocs with a get-back Deagle headshot onto Kixan means that things are a little bit scary. Falcons have a lot of low-health players, and now every member of Furia has a gun picked up. Kioske rotates from Cat into Connector to the top of stairs, and then just stands tall with this amazing, what feels like game-changing triple kill to shut down the take from Furia. And listen, there's a lot of fair questions about whatever ceiling Kioske might have, but his raw mechanics are nothing to be fucked with. Is he going to end up being a best player in the world candidate in the next couple of years? I have no idea, but he certainly is managing to deliver in big spots now, and he was so pivotal for Falcons even being involved in the second game. We skip over an eco from Furia, and now it's the last round of regulation. Alright, here we go. It's going to be a slow mid-control into a late B from Furia. Kesses is going to get aggressive into apartments, and that's almost going to cost Falcons the game on the spot. He walks right into Keserado's crosshair, giving Furia a crucial man advantage and a window into the B side, though Kioske is in the wing, so it's not exactly free access. However, Falcons get a huge break as Kicksand, spamming through the window smoke, catches an insane double kill, suddenly giving Falcons the man advantage into a 4v3. Kioske, tucked into Van, only gets one pick before getting traded out by Keserado yet again, so now we're down to crunch time. Pause. The 3v2. Yuurih split off in the middle with two players rotating through window, just Yuurih on the bomb site with Kicksand and Market. Falcons should be winning this round almost every single time. But it's the Falcons, and they love losing these kinds of rounds. So let the clip roll. Yuurih, you get the first pick on the player in the window. Fair enough. m0NESY, you need to hit that shot, big dog. You hit that shot. You hit that shot almost every time, but you choked it right into Yuurih's crosshairs. And now Kicksand frankly gets unlucky as he barely misses the timing of Yuurih slipping into get right on catwalk. Now he has to worry about the rotate to A after he kills Yuurih, and he just guesses wrong. He rotates to A thinking the bomb is going there. Yuurih plants on B. He navigates the post plant excellently, and Furia eliminate Falcons 13-11. Furia, again, just my favorite team to watch in World Counter-Strike right now. I love that they continue to fuck over the Falcons. Let's fucking go. I hope that tomorrow we get a fucking banger grand finals between these two teams. Vitality have looked vulnerable. Molodoy looks like he's ready for revenge. It's going to be cinema. I hope that whoever wins, we get the best possible Counter-Strike. I will be there somehow, however conscious I can maintain. I'm so tired with this sleep schedule, but I will recap the game once it's done. If you guys enjoy this kind of content, show me leaving a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, having 10K subs by the end of the year. No sponsor today, so follow me on Twitch at LionHeartZ. Thank you to my channel members. You guys know who you are. I can't go through the spiels today. I'm too tired. If you want to support me directly, some more way to do so. For $5 a month, get name of the video, usually just like this, while it's custom role in our community Discord. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you soon tomorrow. Peace.